The billionaire Tory donor with a housing plan, the Tory minister in charge of building houses, meet at a dinner, exchange some messages, and less than 2 months later, the plan is approved after previously being rejected. Robert Jenrick now admits his decision to give permission for Richard Desmond to build 1,500 apartments at this East London site was unlawful, but insists it was not as a favour and he won't be resigning. Labour wants the matter investigated.
I think there needs to be a Cabinet Office inquiry into his behaviour. This has turned into a judgment call on the Prime Minister. He says the matter's closed. It obviously isn't.
It was at this Conservative Party fundraiser in November, attended by Boris Johnson, where the Housing Secretary sat next to the former editor of the Daily Express and discussed his housing proposal. In the days after the dinner, Richard Desmond messaged Robert Jenrick, "We appreciate the speed as we don't want to give Marxists loads of dough for nothing." Then in early January, an official in Mr Jenrick's department wrote that the minister was insistent that the decision is issued this week, as the week after, a new community tax would cost Mr Desmond an extra £40 million. On the 14th of January, Mr Jenrick then gave planning permission for the project the day before the new tax came in. And in late January, Mr Desmond donated £12,000 to the Conservative Party.
Just behind those green trees.
In February, the leader of the Conservatives on Tower Hamlets Council quit over the decision to approve the plan.
Do you now think Robert Jenrick should resign from his position?
Yes, he should, for two reasons. Number one, because of the poor judgment he showed last year in terms of making the decision. And if you can't deal with, in his terms, a relatively small planning application, how can you make those really big decisions?
But ministers are standing by their man.
As I say, because the Cabinet Secretary has looked at the correspondence, it's all been published, and the Cabinet Secretary has decided that there isn't any need for any further investigation, and that's why the Prime Minister regards this matter as closed.
Far from it, say the government's opponents, who want Robert Jenrick to be far more open about how this plan was ever approved. Daniel Hewitt, ITV News.